Hey guys, it's Ozzy here. I'm going to talk to you a little about battery safety, something that should be very important to all of us vapors, but oftentimes is not. We think, hey, I have an 18650 battery, what's the difference? They're all the same, right? Same shape, same size. What could be the difference? Now, first let's go over why it's called an 18650 battery. 18 is because it's 18 millimeters in diameter, as in around. 65 because it's 65 millimeters long, and 0 because it's a cylindrical shape. It's a round shape. And these batteries first started being used inside a cartridge type device, inside a laptop, by Sony, HP, Compaq. Then they kind of made it into the market the way you know them now, because people started building and modding flashlights. Now a flashlight tube is very similar to a vape tube, a mechanical mod tube. So Vapers saw the opportunity to use something that's already on the market to power their devices. Now that's about where the similarities end. Vapers, compared to flashlight modders, take their batteries to another level, to the extreme. I'm going to kind of take you over 3 scenarios here. If you've ever ordered a mod clone or a variable mod, even if it's authentic off eBay, you'll probably get something like this, which is what I like to call the Russian roulette. You don't really know what it is. You don't know the amperage rating. You don't know what's going on. It's got a couple little identifying marks on there, but it's not anything that's going to tell you anything relevant to what you need to know. This is not what I would recommend you use in your mechanical mod. Maybe for something like a Vamo or a lava tube where you're not really pushing that many watts. I think a Vamo goes up to about 15 watts, and that's relatively safe. Let's open up the Ohm's law calculator here. On a Vamo, you're most likely going to be using a clearomizer or a cartomizer about 1.8 ohms, and these batteries fully charged are 4.2 volts, but when you're firing them, they're most likely firing at 3.7 volts. According to this calculator, you're pulling about 7 watts. Even the daintiest little, this is an 18350 battery, even the daintiest little batteries have a 10 amp rating, so you're getting close to the limit there, but I'd say you're safe for even one of these mystery batteries. Now let's change this up to a sub-ohm build, which us vapors love to do. I'm going to put in here 0.3 ohms, and now we're pushing 45 watts and 12 amps. That's a ridiculous amount of amps. You're way above this limit, and you're, who knows where you are on this battery. That's the bad part. That's why I call it Russian roulette. One of 3 things will happen. If you're lucky, it'll just die and it'll stop powering your device. It'll stop charging. If you're slightly unlucky, it'll vent in a semi-controlled manner, which they're intended to do when they're past their limits. And if you're very unlikely, they'll literally explode in your hand. So that's probably not something that you want to happen. Scenario number 2. You find the brand of battery that you like. This is an eFest 1600 milliamp per hour 35 amp battery, but I bought it from a vendor who may or may not be a reputable vendor, and while it looks like a genuine eFest battery, there's one part missing that I'll show you in this next scenario here. This is an eFest battery that I picked up from a known good vendor, and the key part I want you to notice here is this anti-counterfeit system. It's basically a scratch off sticker that'll give you a number that you can type into a website to confirm its authenticity. I'll tell you where I got this battery. It was on eBay. The vendor was Element Vape, and I got a 2-pack from him, and both of them came with this sticker on it. This second battery that I showed you also was from eBay, but I did not know the vendor, and this is what I got. So it very may well be a real EFES battery, but is it something that I would bet my hand, my face, or potentially my life on? No, I don't think you should either. So I stick with this one for my mech mods. As far as my regulated devices, this is most likely fine. This I really do not like using, but sometimes I will. I will admit to that. I'm guilty of using this when I drain all my good batteries. And then finally, this battery we got because my fiance likes to use her Vamo in the 18350 configuration because it's smaller. She likes a smaller device. Something else I want to talk to you about is the types of 18360 batteries. We have the IMR, we have some, well, the mystery one says INR, and then there's an ICR battery. The ICR is a lithium cobalt oxide cylindrical cell battery. That's what that stands for. It's a relatively safe mix of chemicals. The more safer version of that would be the IMR, which is the lithium-ion manganese oxide cathode round cell type. These are highly preferred for vaping. The INR apparently stands for lithium iron phosphate cylindrical cell. That's something I don't really read much about, but that's what came in my mystery pack here. I got 2 of them. IMRs is usually it can support higher discharge rates, which is exactly what we do when we vape. You know, especially if you chain vape, you're constantly hitting that fire button, and you're discharging the battery relatively quickly compared to, say, a flashlight, which is, you know, on for maybe a minute or 2, off from a lot of time, and then on again for a minute or 2. You're not continuously firing up that battery. And good brands for that would be eFest, MNKE, Sony, VTC4s, VTC5s. LG makes some good batteries. I will, however, tell you, Sony and LG have come out and said that they do not like that the vaping community has started using their batteries for their mods, because they say their single cell batteries were never intended for what we use them for. They were intended for flashlights, laptops, etc. But regardless, those are still available because supply and demand. There's a demand for their batteries, they will supply it. Another thing to note about these batteries is they are unprotected. That means there's no circuitry in here to protect it from over discharging or overcharging. What that means is if you leave it on the charger too long, if you don't have a good charger that stops charging when it's full, it will overcharge it and kill the cell inside the battery. Same with vaping for too long. If you keep vaping past that point where you notice a substantial reduction in vapor, you could potentially over discharge your battery and it will die. It won't charge anymore, and it's basically garbage. Now these batteries are all 3.7 volt batteries. When you charge a battery, the way you charge a battery is you apply voltage higher than the resting rate. So a fully charged 3.7 volt battery will actually read 4.2 volts on a multimeter or voltmeter. But when you're actually firing it, it's going to fire somewhere close to 3.7 volts when it's fully charged. And the quality of battery, or the higher quality battery, will stay at 3.7 volts longer than a lower quality battery, or even a higher quality battery as it dies down. And you'll notice that in your vapes, it'll take longer to heat up your coils. One of the trade-offs you'll find when trying to find a high amperage battery is that you'll probably run into lower milliamp per hour battery capacities. What that basically means is a lower battery life. The difference is negligible in my opinion. we're looking at a difference between 1600 milliamps per hour on a 35 amp battery compared to what supposedly is a 22 milliamp per hour on what I would, like I said, we're guessing at this point, say is a 10 to maybe 15 amp battery on this one. And EFES has actually come out with a very great battery that's gotten great reviews, that's somewhere in the 2400 milliamp per hour range, and still manages to clear, I think, I want to say 25 to 30 amps. So that's a great go-to battery for your mech mods. I will still say that the preferred battery seems to be the Sony VTC4s and VTC5s. I don't have the specs up in front of me right now, but they are the favorite for a reason. You know, they perform very well. They last very long. Their quality is very high, and you can't do much better than that.